Hey everybody, happy Friday. I hope y'all had a good week. If you did, wonderful. If you didn't, just know that it's over. And if you working this weekend, just know we sending good vibes your way. All right, so before I get started, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much. All right, so we're back for another review of Love During Lockup, season 5, episode 24, Vegas or Bust. Okay, this season is pretty good so far. All right, so let's just start out with Andrew and Candace because this won't take us too long. So Andrew is driving from New Jersey to Vegas. Trust me, I have driven from Georgia to Los Angeles, from Los Angeles to New York. Them rides are no joke. But I did that both times. One to get back to school, the other one to get to the first job I had after graduate school. Not to go see nobody like this, but okay, okay then. Anyway, so Andrew is driving to Vegas to see Candace with all of his moving stuff. Excuse me, um, to help furnish her lifestyle. This just ain't gonna end well. So he tells her not to be mad, and I'm thinking, okay, what's he about to say? And he says that he was like closing her Louis Vuitton bag, and the tab fell off. And she was like, be gentle. I said, get the fuck out of here. You're in prison. The fact that you even have a Louis Vuitton bag on the way is some bullshit. Yeah, I'm going there. And like, if he was married or dating her when they got locked up, quite frankly, if he would have been married or dating her, she probably wouldn't have got locked up. Nevertheless, then it would have been different to me. But y'all don't know these people. And like, he's not the only one on the cast, but Andrew, actually, yeah, he may be, well, with the exception of one other person. You don't know her. And you are going broke for somebody who lives in the phone, in the words of Karen Huger. Anyway, she wants him to look for houses in Nevada. Not apartments, houses. Because she wants to get custody of her son before coming to New Jersey. I get that. But these demands are wild to me. The way these prisoners have such expectations for when they get out, with no employment, like it's just bizarre to me. It's really bizarre. So Andrew wants her to come to Jersey within 6 or 7 months. They clearly have a complete difference of opinion. She said in her profile she was willing to relocate, and he said he's gonna be disappointed if she doesn't. Baby, let me tell you something. You could have cut your losses back last episode, but never mind. He gets there outside the prison and calls her and lets her know he's outside. She tells us that she's been married twice. I said, she's 29 years old? Red flag. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Also, I think it's going to take longer than 6 or 7 months to get custody of her son, especially since she's been locked up. And apparently, I'm presuming the person who has custody is the father. I'm not sure that somebody's just going to allow the other parent to get primary custody or enough custody to move their child out of state when you've been in prison. Like, it just, I just, anyway. So she's talking about how she's anxious because she has insecurity. She wants to live up to his expectations. We don't care. Moving on. Let's see. The next person. Who do I want to get? Joey and Michael. All right. So this was actually kind of, this was a bit heart-wrenching. But it was good. So Joey sends in the doctored photo to prove that him and Michael knew each other before he got in jail, even though it's a fake picture. Michael basically was like, I can tell it's a fake photo. And he's like, oh, you're making me nervous. You're making me nervous. And all I could think was, are you trying, Joey, to get in trouble with the law too? These people stay stuck on stupid. And I say stay stuck on stupid, one, because of the way the photo was doctored, which anybody can do if you're not a tech person, whatever. But you're talking about this shit on TV while Michael is on speakerphone while you signed up for a reality show. Like, I can't with these people. So Michael says his body count They were talking about having sex and the other. He was like, my body count is over 100 people. I mean, I'm 40. Um, and Joey was like, basically, well, that part of your life is over. And Michael was like, yeah, that part of your life is over. And I'm just like, it's giving you aren't his only boyfriend. And that's what it's giving. All right, so Michael has been in prison 4 times, which was news to me. Did they say it last week? Because when I said 4 times, I said, and he's 40? I said, ooh, in prison. We're not talking about jail. Um, yeah. And I'm not trying to be dismissive or treat somebody as if you go to prison or jail, that somehow your life should be over. I don't believe in that. But I am saying, Joey, you should watch him. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. So Joey was like, yeah, but when you're in prison, it's like, I'm in prison with you. And he's like, my mom says that, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I can imagine your mom's pain. You're 40 and you've been to prison 4 times. I don't think Joey's pain is the same way because he didn't carry you. But nevertheless, I feel like he was being manipulative, telling Joey, look, be easy on me. I don't want to run away from you too. So this way Joey will do everything in his power to keep him by giving him shit and all that kind of stuff. So Joey, you actually said out of your mouth, like, well, when he gets out, he may be doing the same stupid shit he was doing before. I said, listen to yourself. Joey, you're smarter than you're behaving right now. Anyway, so Michael Skypes in to meet Joey's family for 15 minutes, okay? Because that's all the time he gets. All right, so the brother is asking about this guy's charges and shit before they Skype in. And so he said, what's this, like his second time in prison? And he finds out it's been 4 times. And his reaction was like mine. He was like, he's a career criminal. Yeah. And we're not talking about somebody that didn't get out. Because, you know, white people seem to get out and then go back in. Some black people just ain't getting out, okay? I.e. the ones that's been locked up for 18 years on this show. Anyway, the brother has also dealt with alcoholism. And it seems to be a family thing. The father told us at the end of the episode his mother dealt with addiction. His family, you know, like his brothers, sisters, those people dealt with addiction. But the brother was like, I know we've had a lot of success stories in this family, but you shouldn't feel like you need to rescue him. And I think that's true. They've been very blessed to still be here despite alcoholism or other kinds of addictions, of different drugs. But everybody's not like that. And that sometimes is hard when you feel like you've been spared and you want to help other people. So I get it. So this was actually, I was actually glad that his family is on this show. They weren't annoying to me. To me, they were really showing what it is to have a really good supportive family, but also how your pain, especially in a big family, isn't just your pain. Your siblings feel it for you too. Your mother and father feel it for you too. So the father, I like him. He's nice. And they're asking about Michael's family and how close he is because they're a very close family, and you can tell. They were kind of doing that thing where they were giving like the light the light threats and then kind of following up with laughter. Oh yeah, we got to get you like this. But like, you know, they kind of serious. Anyway, they sit down and have dinner. His family is worried because they're just like 2 addicts together are dangerous. I agree. Okay. But they're more worried for their brother's well-being. They weren't just trashing Michael for the sake of it. And that's why I think I received it differently. And when I saw the sister cry, I just felt for her. I really did, because I know what it is to have that love for your family. And you're just worried about, you get worried about people. So they're asking him about the money on his books, whatever, and how much he's spending. Now, in the black family, I'm actually surprised nobody in his family said this, mentioned, like, you know, can you afford that if you're living at home? Like, like maybe they just edited that part out, because there's no way somebody didn't say that. And he's providing for another man. I'm just like, boo. But I get why he's home. 1, the economy is bad. 2, if he's had addiction issues and that makes his parents feel safer by him being there, fine. But I'm just saying, you can't be bringing a whole other grown person in the house, all right, who probably it'll be a minute before they have an income. So he has a very good supportive family, and he's very blessed to have that because everybody doesn't. So we find out that he's relapsed recently, like 5 months ago. That's recent. Hell, he was probably applying for this show when he was relapsing. And he tells his family, and he said he shut his family out because, and they didn't know. He was still living there. They didn't know. But he said he didn't want them to worry. But that is exactly what makes them worry. That's what they said. And I know I've had my mother tell me that. I thought was protecting my mother from different stuff, but kind of shutting down or just not telling her at all, acting like everything's okay. And then you mess around and call her one day and you're saying, and you just bust out into tears. And my mother had told me that before. She was like, no, it's not knowing that makes me worry. When I haven't heard from y'all, when I haven't, And it's just, so I believe that. And that's what makes me even worry as a sister. I don't know why I would think it wouldn't be more intense for a parent. But anyway, so being with somebody like Michael, I do think will make it worse. Not so much because he's going to necessarily hurt him. We don't know that yet. But those kind of people tend to have the same kind of traumas and issues that trigger each other, even unintentionally. Not to mention he has been in prison 4 times and he's 40. Okay, so I think like I said, I really appreciated this family discussion. Even the way they talked to each other wasn't like abusive or mean or undercutting, and I can respect that. All right, so we only got a little bit of Ayanna and Jamal, but this, it was still given. So Ayanna, who is a stripper, and Jamal, who's a drug dealer, and they're 9 years apart. Okay, anyway, she's on her way to anger management, talking about showing her fat ass to him in front of her 18-month-old. It looked like an 18-month to 2-year-old, a baby. All right, anyway, so she's explaining that the only way, if she has to go to jail, the only way to talk to another prisoner is 3-way. I said, shit, I forgot about 3-way on the phone. Anyway, because, now we have so many video chats and stuff like that. But okay, girl. I'm glad she does have sense enough, though, to do the work necessary to keep her sentence as low as possible. I can actually respect that. That she got sobered in the mind enough to say, not sitting around like, fuck that, I ain't gonna do this, that, and the other, because some people do. Okay, now she done made some bad decisions, but I can respect that. So she goes to therapy. She goes to see a social worker to get counseling, I guess, or anger management. She said anger management. This woman's like, why'd you come to therapy? I'm like, which one is it? She talks about being the black sheep in the family, not having a dad in her life, and how that affected her. Of course it did. People take out so much on their mother because their mother is there. The level of absenteeism in families, but particularly African American families, by men is awful. And it does have generational effects in the worst way. It's just like I tell my students whenever we're looking at a primary source. What's said and what's not said is just as important. So who's there and who's not there can also lead to the kind of life that you had. When they show her childhood picture, I said her daughter looks just like her. Anyway, her lawyer calls and her her court date gets moved up, and the visit date is messed up for her to go see Jamal because the judge had to reschedule it. Well, when you're in trouble, that's just what it is. The judge gets to make those decisions. Her mom has taken her off to drive her to court. I can't imagine how fucking stressful that is for her mother. And now she has to call and check if it's okay. I will say she got enough sense to listen to her lawyer when they call. So she feels like she cannot cry. This is not unusual for black women or girls. One, our tears are not treated the same in larger white society. And honestly, they're not treated the same in our families. Okay? Even though we all need to cry. And this is why the social worker, I guess, was doing her job, whatever. But this is why you need culturally competent social workers who understand, and that could be somebody black, white, Asian, otherwise, who really need to understand the cultural context out of which she's coming. That girl did not fight the hell out of that girl in that video because of just those tires. That's a regular kind of rage she has. And she has it because there's trauma. And things black women experience and black women and girls experience on a day-to-day basis is just different. Her older boyfriend, not to mention the context in which they've met and the kind of thing, to me, I still see her as like a grooming victim, but that's just me. Also, can I just say, this is just kind of a PSA. A social worker is not a good therapist. Okay, I'm not saying that this woman, I didn't think did a bad job from what we saw, but I'm just making a point. They're more accessible because they're cheaper and have less degrees in training. Now, they don't have advanced degrees, but you need a psychoanalyst. You need an actual psychologist, like somebody with a PhD or a psychiatrist with an MD. And those people are required to have serious clinical training for years. Okay? I'm not even talking about people with a PsyD, and I'm not trying to diss anybody's degree, but there's a different level of training. And granted, those people are more expensive, so I totally understand. And I'm not taking anything away from those people who have gotten those degrees, but I'm saying to really help people, especially people with layered trauma, and I can say this as somebody who goes to therapy every week and has a psychoanalyst, it's a different kind of help. And it's a different kind of necessary help. There's a reason why those people fall short sometimes in being able to help and are making TikTok videos, people like PsyDs or LCSWs, and then, I told the patient this, but see, the patient act like this. Da, 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 da. The reason why they do that is because they really don't have the total empathetic understanding and the level of training. Yeah, you have the degrees, and I'm sure you do know a thing here and there. But psychologists, really well-trained psychologists, understand that a doctor with too much exposure like that is not helpful and can turn people off. And it's also, a good doctor is too busy meeting with clients to be doing that. Just saying. All right. But Ayana, I really do wish you well in your therapy journey. Okay. We got them. We got Ayana. We got Andrew and Candace. Okay. So we get, I'm sorry. I really shouldn't laugh, but we get a new couple. Shantae and True. Am I the only one? And I probably am. And I really hope that anybody out there, whenever I see Shantae spelled with an A, I just know it's pronounced Shanta. Because I remember this girl in college, and I called her Shanta. I remember kind of hearing people call her Shantae, but I was looking at the spelling of her name, and I was just like, Shanta. Like, that's what it looks like to me. But okay, girl. And True. I don't know if True is his real name or not, but anyway, he's 31, and she's 35. As far as I'm concerned, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, I do not believe in women dating younger men. Men just mature way too slowly. Not to mention this guy is in prison. Okay? Anyway, so she has a picture of her man in prison, on her like mantelpiece or something. So we get him calling her and says he's excited about getting out and having sex for 7 days straight. And I'm just like, okay, all right. Okay. So he met her through her stepbrother, Fred. And he couldn't see her, but he liked her voice. And I was like, this can't go nowhere but down. I'm sorry, baby girl. And I really feel for you because of the stuff that you told us. Because this is not going to end well. But everybody on the show is not going to end well. Anyway, so True's dreads, when he came out, first of all, they played us because I just knew she was going to visit him. And when it was the camera crew from WeTV, this shit, y'all got to cut this shit out. His dreads look good though. I have to say, not his hairline, but his dreads. That means he probably getting them done too often. He just got a big forehead. So I'm just gonna be honest. Even from the time I heard his phone call, he seems a little sus to me. He seems sus, and I'm gonna tell you what kind of confirmed it for me. But I'm getting there. So he says he's in love, even though they've only seen pics of each other. People fall in love just hearing people's voice, whatever. Okay, bruh. I was done, like when he did that interview in prison. But let me tell you something. I would damn sure eat at Shantae's restaurant because that food she had on that table, that crab boil, that shit was looking good, okay? It was looking good. So anyway, she sits down with her nieces, who all seem to be really nice, emotionally healthy people. And she tells them that she has spent $30,000 on this man. Y'all, they've been engaged for a year. Whatever that looks like. I am really struggling. And when I say I'm really struggling, I really am trying to figure out how these people, what these people are doing for a living, that they get these credit lines, that they have so much cash available to over time give somebody $30,000. Baby, that could have been going in your 7-year-old son's college fund. Like, what the fuck is going on? So anyway, so she moved from Kansas to Missouri. Okay. I guess Missouri is better than Kansas. Not Kansas. Kansas. Okay, because said she didn't want to wait a year for them to be together. You didn't trust that man. I'm sure you didn't. So she put her house up for sale. It has not been sold yet. And bought a new house in Kansas. So she is stuck paying 2 mortgages. Like $5,000 a month. Which honestly is still not bad for 2 mortgages. Nevertheless, I really want to know what you do for a living that you can get approved for a housing loan and still keep this stuff up and furnish it. Like, I'm just really impressed. I really want to know because I want to know if I can get in. So anyway, on how y'all are doing this, because I don't get it. All right, so he said he has never been with a black woman. And so her nieces go, what, he doesn't like us? What, does he think we're ghetto or whatever? So he says she was like, no, he does. And so she was like, well, what's different about you? And I said, facts. That's the right, well, not facts, but that's the right kind of question. The fact that he is talking, he said he doesn't like black women because they're loud and ghetto. And her nieces were right and were trying to have her back. And all I could think was, here we go with the bullshit. First of all, the fact that he's talking to her and engaged to her as a black woman and then proceeds on a regular basis to talk down about black women is a huge, huge red flag. And all I could think was, motherfucker, you got your motherfucking nerve. You talking like these other black men who out here free and talking down about us. And at this point, I'm just like, fuck them. But my thing is, how dare you talk about somebody being ghetto and you in fucking jail living off a black woman who is providing for you and trying to set up options by opening a restaurant so that you can make a life for yourself, and you talking about what black women ain't? First of all, you ain't free. Let's begin there. The fuck out of here. And that was also what made me kind of confirm my suspicions with him being sus. And because a lot of them tend to date outside of their race, because there are things that people within their race, just idiosyncrasies within cultural dynamics that black women would pick up on, that white women wouldn't ask about, so on and so forth. That's just me. Oh well. All right. So her nieces were like, look, we're not trying to come at you, because she started crying or whatever. And she was like, and they were just like, we don't want you doing more for him than he's willing to do for you. And I was like, agree. But I think they all, I have to be honest, handled it well. So we've seen 2 supportive families. So we know it can be done. But we also know it can be undone or not done at all. That brings us to Teenie and Rob. Let me and I hate to laugh, but Teenie, you really do look like Tamika Mallory. Teenie, I think you are a very beautiful woman. I think you're actually very classy. I think that along the way, you got lonely. You started feeling like you couldn't find a man to be in your life. And you did what a lot of women do and what we're socialized to do. And that's judge ourselves for not having a man. So much so because apparently everything else hinges on that. And society teaches us that. So much so that you were willing to reconnect with a prisoner, somebody that you knew when you were a kid. And despite you having two other kids with someone else and having, I can tell, very nice kids, and I can tell you raised them well, you still decided to go and marry a whole fucking prisoner. And I think that's some low self esteem stuff. And honestly, as I look at Teeny, I'm gonna be honest, she looks sad to me. She looks sad. She looks unhappy. And maybe it's because you're being surveilled by a man who's in prison and wants you to be punished with him by constantly watching you. Nevertheless, she tells us, we get her at the beginning telling us that they work out 3 to 4 times a week at the same time. He makes the workout intense on purpose or whatever. Okay, but he's telling her, well, you don't need to have an attitude, this, that, and the other. Let me tell you what you're not going to do. Is boss me around from behind bars. Screw you. Anyway, he said he wants her to meet his mother for lunch the next day. And didn't neither one of them want to do this, so I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is happening. But that's okay. We gonna work through that. So they have an issue because he created the tension. Let me tell you something. If you want to identify a narcissist and an abusive and problematic man, watch the way in which he seems to flourish when he sees women in his family, in his life, whether it's your friends, whether it's his sister, mother, whoever, and he likes to be at the core of seeing y'all fight. That is a man that is no good. Rob is no good, Teeny. I have said it. Okay? Nevertheless, so he created the tension between them. So 4 years ago, he asked her to send money to his mother. And then he thought about it after Teeny sent it and asked her to get the money back from his mother. And his mom doesn't like her because she essentially did his dirty work. And for 4 years, this ninja let her take the hit instead of saying, Mom, look, I needed that money back for whatever, whatever. Your son is already a criminal, but this is her fault? If he gets out, he gives me the vibe, somebody who would take money back from their mother like that, he'll be back doing criminal stuff. I just see that. And I'm afraid, Teeny, you're going to end up getting caught up in it the next time. It's one thing for you to be married to him in prison, but I'm telling you right now, run. This relationship is no good. Teeny don't even strike me as somebody who would be on a reality TV show if Rob probably wasn't pushing it. She just seems very unhappy to me. She really does. And I want to see who's in her life, like her family, her mother, or have they been alienated because of this situation? Because I can tell she was raised right. We saw one of her friends, but she just does not look happy to me. So, the mother, I can already tell you, has a lot to do with why he's so controlling and a screwed up person now. I'm going to tell you that right now. And so is his daddy, most of all, because I can guarantee you he was not in the picture. All right? I can almost guarantee that. I would love to be wrong. So, Teeny, I don't believe in coming in between anybody and their family. I don't. And I just think when the mother is overly hostile for a long period of time, it's not going to work out. And when I tell you I can go down a list of marriages where that's the case, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I know it takes time to build relationships, but that kind of shit, I'm telling you. And I'm going to explain some more as we get through it, but I'm just saying. And I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying that men who don't check that shit at the root, those marriages usually end badly. Because the mother doesn't like you oftentimes because she didn't do her job as a mother. And I'm not talking about somebody who sees something and the rest of us are kind of like, yeah, she's that type. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this kind of shit that we saw. So she goes to meet his mom for lunch. She is doing so much for a man that she doesn't even have children by. It blows my mind. So his rude ass mama lets her walk in. She says hello. She greets her. She doesn't greet her at all. She just stares at her like the hood rat she is. She looks at her and says, why are we here? Well, bitch, if you ain't know why you came, and as you admitted to us, you barely got here, what the fuck did you come from? Why the hell didn't you get on the phone? Why didn't you ask your grown ass son who told you to meet you there? What the fuck? Meet her there. What the hell? She was like, we don't speak for 20 years. And Teeny was like, first of all, it hasn't been 20 years. And I was like, you should have asked your punk bitch ass son why you were meeting with your daughter-in-law. So if you didn't want to come, don't come, bitch. If you could barely come, don't. So she said she was trying to reconcile their differences. Teeny says we're trying to reconcile our differences. And she goes, why now? And I was like, bitch, because he's on his way out. I know that. So she says she is still in her feelings about this $500 from 4 years ago. Bitch, get over it. Get over it. So Teeny explains the story. And she said, I really felt uncomfortable. I said this to him, but I know I look like the bad guy because I did his dirty work. Completely honest. The mama honestly looked like she may have had him at 13 because she looks young herself. But I shouldn't say that. She may have just taken very good care of herself. But I can tell she's one of those. And when I say hood rat, I don't necessarily, I mean at her core, that kind of ghetto mentality. I can tell. Because she literally starts talking about what has been done for her by the previous girlfriend or whomever, what they gave her, who was calling, make sure she was okay, to find out what she needs. It's all about things. And a mother who expects that is typically a mother who has constantly used her child as a way to get other things and has expected more from her child than she actually gave to him or her. Okay? It's not rocket science. So Teeny goes, well, did you get the Mother's Day gift I sent you? And that bitch sat there and said, that's not good enough for me. So you mean to tell me you didn't even acknowledge receipt and that's not good enough for you? Bitch, kiss my ass. So apparently the mother brings up his ex, we didn't know her name, whatever, about how she always looked out for her. And Teeny feels disrespected. And Teeny, honestly, I think could not have handled that any better. She was like, you know what? I'm not dealing with the disrespect. She got her bag and walked out of there. She didn't get throwing no glasses in front of all them white people and shit. So the mama's issue is that she wants to be taken care of with her son's savings account money, because he has been lucky enough to be successful in business with his brother, according to Teeny. And I'm like, well then, bitch, ask his brother. You got to know who his brother is, whether he's your biological child or not. And my thing is, I don't know either, Teeny, a lot of men who have managed to have a savings account in prison. But I will say I'm concerned for you and how he's getting this money. He just seems like somebody who's going to end up in some shit. And I would really hate to see a very nice black woman like yourself, who's very pretty, but just seems to have just experiencing, low self-esteem right now and depression maybe. And I can't analyze it. I mean, just armchair stuff. You just seem very sad. But that kind of mama who sees her son as the person who should be taking care of her, and that's really my point about her looking so young, she'll be all right after all of those years, who's expecting her son to take care of her and blames the wife, is the one who didn't raise him and didn't raise him right. And she doesn't want to hold her son directly responsible. She blames the wife because she's afraid if she holds the son directly responsible, it's going to become more obvious that she's going to be exposed. That's her fear of being a bad mother. And I hate to use the expression of bad mother because I don't like, my mother always said, don't call anybody a bad mother. She's afraid she's going to be exposed for the mother that she was that failed to raise him the right way. That's what I think. Those are my thoughts. I hope y'all have a great weekend. I had a great time today after I got off work and went to the Black Comic Book Festival. I got some pictures with the author of, Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer. I live for this. And this black woman wrote this book. I can't wait to get started because a random person stopped me. She was in her cosplay outfit. And it's called Between the Seas, a collection of short stories. So I'll report back to y'all to see how good this is. But I'm really excited about it. She signed it. It was really nice. Anyway, y'all have a great week and I'll talk to y'all soon.